John Doe Radio Show. JDR News Live.
The human brain is made for thinking, not pubic experiment. It's hardly a tinker toy or experimenting. It's not pubic with drugs.
Why do we talk about marijuana? It's the single biggest drug that is a source of some confusion.
This is really about educating the public about the fact that marijuana is a less harmful drug.
Marijuana, that's to get high.
You can be as high as you want.
The prohibition of marijuana over the last 71 years has not actually prevented you from using marijuana.
If you're winning,
Sure to winning the war on drugs.
I do believe there have been some successes.
we will never arrest our way out of this problem.
Welcome to JDR News Live Daily. I'm your host, Tim Martin. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's a Tuesday. It's December 1st. Oh my God, it's December 1st. Everybody freaking out. Hope you're having a fantastic day. If you missed any of our JDRs, make sure you head over to johndorad.io, johndorad.io, the coolest website name in the whole universe. Big thanks to our sponsors, everybody that makes the John Doe Radio Show possible. Couldn't do it without weedbiz.net. If you're not listening to us live, you're listening to us on the downloaded end or the streamed side on our website or on iTunes or wherever it is that you download the JDR News Live Show or the John Doe Radio Show. That is brought to you by weedbiz.net, our good friends over there hosting the show and taking care of it on the back end. Thank them very much. They also got some cool grow pods for you. Head over to weedbiz.net and they'll take care of you. Also, big thanks to Your Graphics for taking care of our website, URGRAFIX online, or you can search for Jessica Trim on my friends list, and she'll help take care of you if you need advertising created, or if you talking about like images and cool stuff like that, or maybe you need a website created. They can take care of you. Specialize in WordPress, especially. It's especially specialized. Also, big thanks to USACannabisConsulting.com. JDR News brought to you by USACannabisConsulting.com. Our good friends Kyle Allen and the crew over there can help you build out what you need when it comes to the cannabis industry, whether it's with construction or if it's just licensing your business and working your way through all the crazy rules and the awesomeness that is regulated, legalized cannabis. I just threw that all off the top of my head. I was actually proud of that. Maybe I can write commercials for a living. Oh, wait, I tried that. It doesn't pay. Big thanks to USA Cannabis Consulting. Can't thank them enough for supporting the JDR show. And last but not least, we could not do the show without the JDR Army, so holla at yourselves. Hopefully, like I said, you're having a fantastic day. Hopefully, your holidays are going to be fantastic. Holy guacamole, it's already December 1st. Can you believe it? Just seems like yesterday. I was trying to avoid the snow and the cold outdoors and homelessness, and then here we are. How life changes, how amazing life can be. Let's get on and talk about the amazingness that life is. Alright, let's go.
You're now listening to Pellet Beats.
Woo! I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I'm going to pick up a bunch of edibles from Incredibles after we get done here with the JDR show, but I'm in a fantastic mood right now. Also maybe because I got some Howard Stern back in my life. God, I love that radio show. I don't ever try and model myself after Howard Stern, but it's hard not to when the dude is the model of radio. And if I could actually have all the bits and the interviews and the awesomeness that goes down there, it takes a team to be able to get that done. And it's not like he doesn't have the best in the business sitting there trying to help put together bits and all this other craziness. Anyway, when I sit down and I listen to Howard Stern, which I haven't a lot here in the recent past, the past few months, haven't had a serious account. I don't know, it's like when you're sitting down and you're trying to get some motivation for something, and you're like, damn, how am I going to do this? You look around, and whoa, out of the clouds shines this amazing ball of light down onto any given situation. And you put yourself into that situation, and it's like, bing! Your creativity just flies off the handle. Anyway, it's the same thing like that to be in listening to live, awesome, good radio shows. That's neither here nor there. I'm sure you give a shiatsu less about that. Like I said, it's already December 1st, running up on the holiday that is called Christmas. Farkin' Star Wars coming in 18 days. I'm super excited for that. Star Wars taking over the internet. Star Wars actually more popular than Christmas this year, which is an amazing feat, but it is Star Wars, you know. Some crazy talk going around the internet about how Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord, and the reason why he was so horrible and put him in so many crazy situations was because he's trying to... Anyway, conspiracy theories. And like I said, it's crazy that this year, Star Wars is bigger than Christmas. Once the 18th starts to roll around, I think once we get past December 18th, which is the day that the movie Star Wars comes out, we can finally maybe settle into Christmas just a little bit. Maybe this is what we needed as a society, to be able to break up the impending Christmas that happens every year earlier and earlier in the year. Just add a brand new Star Wars film every year. Anyway, big thanks for hanging out with us here on the Stony JDR News. Today on JDR News Live, we've got stories about San Francisco patients and their Choice Awards. The San Francisco Patient Choice Awards. I forgot to bring you news about that yesterday. I had hidden that page on the right side of my screen and just basically forgot to read my rundown to get to it. So I apologize that we didn't get to that yesterday. Illinois doctor accused of violating cannabis laws again. Washington shops are being forced to obtain licensing. More changes coming from Washington. Hopefully, this is starting to pave the path of correcting their horrible rules over in Washington. Read about that. Massachusetts is pushing for cannabis legalization, starting up not just starting up a petition drive. What the hell am I talking about? They have submitted signatures to be okayed for cannabis legalization. We read about that. Colorado Springs shooter is accused of being high on pot before the shooting. Usually, I ignore articles that are anything like this, but this one just kind of, I don't know, it's been hard to ignore because it's been boiling up the past couple of days. And what some of these groups are trying to tie this guy to pot with is just absolutely insane. Which, I mean, is par for the course for some of these groups to sit here and say, well, you can see with this killer here in Aurora, this guy was high on pot. The killer at Columbine, he was high on pot. And the killer in Colorado Springs was high on pot too. So what does that tell me? That tells me that Colorado is a crazy, psychotic, high on pot state. It's like this senator I saw a video of yesterday. It was either senator or congressman. I don't know. That's how much the guy really matters to me. But he's sitting there in front of he's on a panel, like a congressional panel or some shiz like that, having a hearing. And there's a dude from Texas right in front of him. And this guy's a black guy that's talking. And the dude from Texas challenges on something. And this dude that's talking to him immediately goes to like the first thing out of his mouth was like, I don't fuck with your state. In fact, I think your state is psychotic. And then the dude that's from Texas was like, sir, you can attack me and you can attack everything that I am, and being a part of legislator and politics. Oh, this bit is going absolutely nowhere. We got to finish it though. Being a part of politics, I understand people coming at me. But, sir, you will not hit the people of Texas low in the knee. Or some shit like that. I don't know. I don't have the script sitting here right in front of me. But then the other guy goes, I will not apologize. You can wait till hell freezes over before I apologize. All right, we're done with that. That went absolutely nowhere. I had something funny to come out of that, but really nothing did. It was like dropping an anchor out of a ship and losing all control of the anchor as it's falling. Let's get to news. God dang it. Crazy-ass bastard. Oh, by the way, probably starting tomorrow, maybe the next day, we'll bring you those reviews on The Incredibles. I'll work closely with the Michael Holly to get her done. Okay? We'll find out what he has to talk about, too. I'm going to be writing articles for our JDR site to get more content on our JDR site, which is the main reason why I kind of asked for The Incredibles. Besides, wanting to medicate. But the main reason was I wanted to get more content up on the JDR News website. And what's better to turn to our friends that can help us out with that and have good products that we can review. Fantastic. Beautiful life that we live. Starting off, let's do these Patient's Choice Awards. The kind of event that can only be dreamed of in many parts of America was just another Saturday in San Francisco's busy holiday season. Pungent, flavorful, artisanal, small batch, high THC, eco-friendly bud from Berkeley swept the city's annual patient-judged medical cannabis contest Saturday. The 9th annual San Francisco Patient's Choice Cup. First place in indica strains went to Berkeley's Clean Green Certified Craft Collective for their raspberry cookies. So first place, Berkeley's Clean Green Certified Craft Collective, raspberry cookies. Craft swept first place in the sativa, also with Super Lemon Haze, Hybrid, Tahoe Chem, and High CBD, CBD OG. We won all those flower categories as well. Clean Green is an independent third-party certification grower. Wait, hold on. Let me read this again. Clean Green is an independent third-party certification growers can get to ensure patients their product is pesticide-free and sustainably grown. Fantastic idea. I like that. Berkeley's delivery-only collective staff accepted a shelf of crystal trophies Saturday evening at the Chic Terra Gallery in Soma. I actually got the chic word right. And I didn't say chick or anything like that. That's pretty amazing. Let's give myself a pat on the back. I think you deserve a hit for me not screwing that up. Take a big for me. Because I'm also out of weed, which is another exciting reason why it's great to get edibles. After a day-long exhibition paired with local food and entertainment, several hundred medical cannabis well, we screwed that one up, so take the hit away. Aficionados, that's how you say it, mixed and mingled on what's become the Bay Area's most intimate, best orchestrated weed event. Where's the story go to? Crap. I have ad block on the Chromebook, and sometimes it takes so many ads out of the middle of the story, it's hard to follow the damn story and see which one is Anyway, an offer. New microdosed edibles, hyper-discreet vape pens, and app-based weed delivery systems. Select-a-Lou, Red Hots, Burlesque, Manicato, and Mystic Roots provided the entertainment. And true to their roots, the Green Cross staff lit a half-pound joint worth at least $900 of OG Kush at 4:20 p.m. I miss the good old days, man. When we first started JDR, we were like right in the heart of downtown Denver. Actually, it wasn't when we first started JDR. I say it was about 2009. Because I was still up in Northwest Colorado for quite a good amount of time. When we started JDR, I lived in a small town. It's called Craig, Colorado, town I got raided in. And not necessarily the most friendly cannabis place in the entire world. Steamboat Springs, Colorado was just down the road. Locals don't add the springs to it. It's just plainly called Steamboat. But it's a fantastic place to be and to hide and to have fun if you know the people that are there. So it's a cool touristy place if you're going to ski or going to do some outdoor shits. But if you're looking for a party, it's kind of like Aspen when it comes down to it. You have to kind of be invited and get inside and on the in with the cool kids to really spend a good amount of time hanging out, I guess, in Steamboat. It's just the way it is. Kind of feel like it's replaced Aspen in a lot of ways as being like the celebrity get-to or the athlete get-to. Anyway, what I'm trying to get to ultimately is that there was a lot of cannabis smoking going on there. It's just I didn't know a whole ton of people. So I would make my trip 4 hours down the mountain into Denver and hang out with people, like Paul Token was my first caregiver. I don't know if anybody has seen Token Daily's podcasts or what he does. Basically sits down and smokes with you, talks about life. All that good stuff. I don't know, hugely popular YouTube dude. I used to come down and hang out with him, smoke with him, and try all this fantastic cannabis that was starting to come out of the woodwork and form in dispensary forms and big delivery services. Because a lot of people that didn't necessarily have the money to open up storefronts when we first started here in Colorado, because that's all it really took was a lease and somebody to give you a building and not have a big problem with you selling cannabis out of it. That's really all it took. There was no other licenses, a business license, period, end of story. So people that couldn't afford that were still caregivers because there was no licenses at the time. You're still technically called a caregiver, no legalization, just medical marijuana. But those people formed delivery companies and delivered tons of weed. And that was the main way to get your cannabis here in Colorado, unless you were driving yourself over to the dealer's house, which is still a big thing back then, too, because, as I said, very little shops opening. And the shops that were opening, especially very, very, very early on, were not really the best shops in the world. You want to talk about dorm room, back room type deals and the most just shady situations besides, I mean, one step up above going to a black market dealer on a dark street in a back alley. I mean, seriously. But it was still cool, and we formed what we have today from it. But ultimately, once I moved down to Denver, started getting together with a bunch of cool kids. It was hugely cliquey at that time. Huge groups of people, independent groups of people getting together and hanging out. Not necessarily like it is today, where I think there's just like a few places that people go to hang out. Then it was like getting together with industry get-togethers like every day. You know, we had the Hood Lab. There were other places that people got together with. It's just a time that in my mind and in a lot of people's mind here in Colorado stands still as the Wild West years. And we look back at them with the most extreme of fondness. And during that time, too, when we'd have these get-togethers, there'd be so many people that were growers and had... I hope you're enjoying my story, by the way. We'll get back to this news here in a second. But so many people that were growers and had cannabis themselves or were just starting to make hash. At that time, very beginning, the time that I'm talking about right now, wasn't really any hash oil around anywhere. It didn't come in until another few years down the line. We're talking like 2009, 2010. Then these things started becoming more and more popular in small groups. Then you had things like the Essential Vape, which basically looked like a crack vial hooked into this metal pipe that you use the blowtorch to heat up the oil inside the crack vial. It's actually just a Dramule vial, whatever size you wanted, and it would screw into this metal pipe. And I saw so many people get knocked out with that, especially the ladies. Jesus, that was a brutal, brutal, brutal piece of machinery right there. Smoking apparatus would punch you in the face, and there was no water filtration with it. So you're just taking a hot, it was nuts. It was fun, though. It was good times. But during these get-togethers, they'd have tons of weed, tons of hash, all this stuff. So we'd be rolling up ounce joints, quarter-ounce joints, just huge. I mean, having parties, having a good time, and having fun. That's why so many people look back to those times so awesome and so fondly. Anyway, as I was saying, the whole point of that story was I miss the times of where we were having half-pound joints like they did at the Patients get-together here in Berkeley. Patients' Choice Awards. End of the story is, while most cups are celebrity or induced judging, Patients chose the winner of the Patients' Choice Award each year. Anyone who buys a judge's pack, which costs several $100s, becomes eligible to vote in the Bay Area focused competition. This year's judges packs featured dozens of items in 11 different categories. Next step, like I said, for these contests is for people to start putting cash prize packages together and to start putting like trips together. Like you get on a Caribbean cruise if you win first place in the concentrate cup. Did you make the best rosin? We're going to send you to Jamaica. You know, some stuff like that. And I know it's already happened a couple times with a few competitions, but you got people like High Times that are making millions, literally millions of dollars off of these competitions and these cups, and they go and buy, I don't know how much the cup is, and it's a fantastically beautiful cup. It represents our industry, and I don't know. I'm trying to be nice about the cup because I really do enjoy High Times. I'm a big fan of High Times. The people over at High Times have always been good to us. But more money could go into the winnings of the people that actually win these competitions rather than just going completely into the pockets of High Times. Which I hope I can be critical like that. I mean, that's not saying Fark High Times. Shizheads, just completely douchebags and are going to ruin everything now that they hired some corporate asshat to be putting. No, that's not what I'm saying at all, okay? That's what other people are saying. But we can be critical and constructive when it comes to the companies that are, leading these competitions and putting our faces out in the mainstream. I don't know anything more publicated or more public than High Times magazine. I used to think back, dude, do you remember the times back in high school or back when you first started reading High Times, right before you maybe started smoking bud, or probably really right as you started smoking weed, and you just open up the pages and see this amazingly beautiful bud, which a lot of us probably see better bud every day. But you used to see this weed and you were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And one of the promises I made to myself as I'm reading these High Times magazines, I said, when I get older and I start making money, and I don't have to worry about bills and all this other shit, and I'm just swimming in cash. It's just funny. Statement there itself, swimming in cash. I would never, ever, ever go without greens again in my entire life. I was like, psh. Because you'd be sitting there staring at the pages, waiting for the dealer to call back, phone to ring, sitting there checking it every 2 minutes. You're like, God damn it, what the hell is this guy doing? And really what dude's doing is just session, and then he passed out for a couple hours and left you hanging. Anyway, we all know the fight to get cannabis. It's always been a pain in the ass. You always had to wait on your dealer. But that always triggered me to say, fuck this shiz. I'm never going to have to worry about this again. And when I was growing weed, it was the most fantastic time because I'd pick up these magazines. And before, when I was wishing these things, you wish you could kind of tear out the magazine page and actually eat it. I mean, you really did. You really figured at a point in time that you could sprinkle some salt on top of this cannabis page, crumple it up, and eat it. That's how good this cannabis looked. Fast forward to a day where I pretty much met everybody from High Times and said, hey, I'm going to be exactly like these people from High Times. I can't wait to write for High Times someday. And then you get kind of in the same friends group with a lot of these people from High Times. That's when you can actually say you've made it in the cannabis industry. I'm kidding. State government has in recent weeks stamped 142 retail marijuana licenses with medical endorsement in Washington that will let them cater to patients come July 1st. The value of an endorsement for roughly 65% of pot shops who have received one won't be fully known, though, until more rules are set for Washington's newly consolidated medical and recreational marijuana system. If it did come to fruition, we could significantly expand our business, said Jim Sultan, owner of one of the stores with an endorsement. A Bud and Leaf in Olympia is what it's called. A Bud and Leaf in Olympia. That sounds like an award in like the Olympics or something. You receive the prestigious Bud and Leaf Award. Today, he said, he's limited by restrictions surrounding Washington's 2012 legalization of recreational marijuana. He says we can't say this will cure this or will even alleviate that. The slew of endorsements is a sign that patients wanting to medicate with marijuana are likely to have options no matter where they live in the state, regardless of what happens to the state, or as the state begins deciding which unlicensed dispensaries to legitimize. Medical marijuana shops must shut down or obtain licenses by July 1st. The stores best positioned to make the switch are concentrated in the state's most popular county. That would be King County. In the first round of selections in 2014, a lottery was used to rank applicants for recreational marijuana licenses. Lucky ones, like a Bud and Leaf, scored a low number. This time around, the legislature told state regulators to choose applicants for new licenses based on their histories. The Liquor and Cannabis Board has divided the more than 1,100 applicants it has received into groups based on priority. Owning or working at an unlicensed outlet is a plus in the application process. It's the first time I've ever read that when it comes to cannabis. As long as that business has been around for a few years and has paid taxes. Applicants only reach the top tier, however, if they also applied during the first round of licensing. 33 applications from 26 applicants met that test as of mid-November. The agency is processing those top priority applications first, putting entrepreneurs who have struggled for years with cloudy and changing legal status one step closer to a state sanction. 18 applicants in King County and just 15 in the rest of Washington have first dibs on consideration. None is south of Tacoma or Shelton, and none is in eastern Washington. 3 applications are for shops in Tacoma. All are proposed conversions from existing medical shops. Today, they do business as the Joint on Pacific Avenue, the Herbal Gardens on South 28th, and the Green Tiki Cannabis Company on South 38th. Those places could relocate. Owner of Herbal Gardens says, all I've ever wanted is to be recognized as a legitimate business. He said Tacoma originally gave him a business license, then ordered him to shut down, but more recently allowed him to operate. Just a small little example of the craziness. Debauchery is probably not the right word to use there. The craziness that's going down in Washington. I mean, not only do you have restrictions with edibles and concentrates, but the rollout of these cannabis regulations and rules, which has been the big thing that I've nailed on for a long time now, ever since it was passed through, is the biggest problem that Washington has. Because you had places that weren't sure on guidance and weren't sure what direction they needed to go to be able to stay compliant. And then you have the people that are anti-cannabis that are given power because there was no regulations for keeping those shops and licenses. I shouldn't say none, but very lax, which allowed these places to be able to basically stall and not give permission for these shops to be able to open up as we kept going down the line. And as that kept happening in Washington, it formed into this ridiculous snowball of inawesomeness that where we're sitting right now. I mean, it's a complete failure. When we passed cannabis legalization here in Colorado the same night that Washington did, it was super exciting, not only because we passed legalization, but because we had a partner in crime to go through this process with. But really what's happened is they just fumbled the ball. Running 100 miles an hour, and the opposing team comes in and just pokes the ball with one little finger. And as we've got the ball in the breadbasket, that thing just pops out. Boop, and just lays on the ground for years and years and years. And it's still laying on the ground. Hey, you guys going to recover that fumble? Because, it's sitting right there. Nah, we're just going to box out the anti-cannabis people. And look at the football. That is a fantastic analogy. It's funny because it's true. This owner of Herbal Gardens, back to Washington. Wait, we were talking about Washington, so how can we go back to Washington? Back to the story. He said he's left to wonder, is tomorrow the day that they drag my wife and my child out in the street and take me to jail for something they give me a license for? Oh my God! Everybody run! That's a good fear. I mean, that's not a good fear. That is a legitimate fear to have, is what I meant. God, sorry for anybody watching me on the camera right now. I'm squirming around like a goddamn worm because my lower back is just destroyed right now for some reason. I don't know what the hell it is. Where was I at? Get over that shooting pain down the lower side of my back. Lost my place there. Fark, where the hell was I at in this news story? Today, he said... Okay, here we are. Today, he said he's thankful to local and state officials. I'm thankful that we are in the position that we are in. It's a position I believe we've earned. Federal law obviously says marijuana is illegal, but Washington voters approved medical marijuana in 98. The law didn't allow for retail sales, but hundreds of stores have sprung up nonetheless. After voters approved retail sales of recreational marijuana 3 years ago, calls for the legislature to regulate medical cannabis sales intensified. Lawmakers decided this year to reconcile recreational and medical marijuana businesses into one regulated system. And I think a lot of people knew this was probably going to happen in one of these states as far as cannabis being combined into recreational if you already had medical cannabis. I thought that it would probably be something that happened already here in Colorado. But once you think about it, it's only been a couple years into legalization, and we still have time for that to happen. And there's no doubt that there's a lot of people out there that are trying to make it happen despite... And the only reason why it probably wouldn't happen is, like I talk about all the time here on the John Doe Radio Show, the grassroots activism that we have as a community may not let that happen. Plus, it's built into our Constitution, and just we would have to have possibly a vote of the people. I don't know. It would be an extremely difficult thing to happen here in Colorado, but I can see it happening. Definitely, for sure. I can see us jumping the hurdles to be able to get over that. And the only reason why I think it should happen, here's the only reason why I think it should happen, how much we've talked about, especially yesterday, the abuse of money with these I don't know how to put it, with organizations. Whether it's an organization that regulates cannabis like the Marijuana Enforcement Department, or whether it's a police division, a police enforcement team that goes down and raid people. Basically, the abuse of money is one thing that we could take out of... Money's what we could take out of their hands to stop the abuse that's coming towards us. It's because you take the money out, then you take away their stepping stone, a nice little stool that they've been getting to all these places with for years and years and years. It's got marijuana written all over it. And stopping that from basically happening... God damn it, I lost my place, what I was talking about. That's the first time in like a couple weeks I've truly brain farted to where like, what the fuck was I talking about? God dang it. I got like 50 things rolling through my mind right now. Oh, the removing of cannabis from the state. Anyway, the point to where I was going with all that, you can't tell that you're listening to a pod show by a stoner right now. That's okay. Washington would have done possibly... Here's the deal. Washington would have had a way better chance of doing away with medical marijuana if they would have already had a retail system put in place. How can you do away with a system that's already working in a lot of ways by replacing it with a system that just doesn't even exist to that point? And that's the frustrating thing in Washington. That's why they're in such a stupid situation right now, is because they try to jump the gun so quickly on that. I mean, literally, how do you replace a system with something that isn't even formed? That's nothing. How do you replace something with nothing? Well, you do. And then you screw everything up that you were working on. Until the legislature acted, governments were reluctant to take the initiative in overseeing medical marijuana stores. That's so frustrating and convoluted in Washington. It's kind of like the polar bear swim, Stanley said, where everybody's standing on the edge of the icy water in their underwear. They were just waiting for someone to make the first move and jump in. I personally wouldn't have used that analogy. I used some pretty crazy analogies in my time here in JDR with you. But jumping into cold water in your underwear may not be one of them. Unless I was like trying to talk myself down from one of like the dab hose or something like that. One of the dab thoughts. Then you may think of jumping into an ice cold water in your underwear. I cracked myself up. The best kind of love is self-love. Which would be another reason to jump into a cold, icy water in your underwear. Hey now, the Cannabis Board is awaiting for a consultant's analysis of how much marijuana Washington consumes before deciding on how many stores to license. How about you just issue license and let those businesses stay open or closed based on the demand that they can produce? How about that? That sounds like a fantastic idea. Have you tried that? The deadline for the final report has been pushed back. It's now due December 15th, 3 days before Star Wars. Instead of Christmas and counting down the 25 days till Christmas, we're now counting the 17 days until Star Wars comes out. I'm super hyped up on the Star Wars. I cannot tell you what. That dang old movie is going to be fantastic. A physician accused of violating Illinois' medical marijuana law could lose his license in a case that critics say highlights the state's strict enforcement of the pilot program and that his patients worry could hurt their ability to buy cannabis. Illinois regulators say this dude has the most insane first name. His name is Dr. Bodo, B-O-D-O, Dr. Bodo Schneider. That is a farked name, dude. How did you become a doctor with the first name Bodo? Hi, Bodo. How you doing, Bodo? He charged patients for pot recommendations at offices in southern Illinois and suburban Chicago without a legitimate doctor-patient relationship, says the report. At a preliminary hearing Tuesday in Chicago, attorneys said they're negotiating a possible settlement, which is standard in such cases. Schneider approved marijuana for hundreds of patients in the state's program, for which legal sales began just last month. But still, a lot of people can't get access to that cannabis, I remind you. Patients must have a doctor's signature to qualify for a required ID card. They got to go through a background check, all this other stupid crap in Illinois. He had 2 waiting rooms, they said, and they were full of... Why did you have to reset page? Goddamn internet technology. All right, there we were. Patient David Kerfman told this news he had 2 waiting rooms. They were full every time I went. You waited for a long time. Kaufman, this patient, traveled 500 miles round trip from Rushville to Schneider's Marion Clinic and paid $185 for 3 visits, which included at least 1 physical exam. Then how is that not forming an actual patient-doctor relationship? Because I can tell you right now, I've gone to a doctor, less than a couple times here in the past year. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. This dude has a better patient-doctor relationship with his doctor than I do with my real doctor. So this pot doctor cares more about him than my real doctor cares about me. What does that say for you? It's not like every doctor is some absolute miracle worker. A lot of those bastards just go in, look at their notes, reread the notes, see the symptoms you got, and then give you the medicine that they're paid to give you. The doctors scare me, man. They really do. Because after you get done with a lot of them, you're like, man, we really don't know shit as a human population, as a human race. You're like, God damn it, if we actually knew something. Couldn't you stop this from happening? One of the stony thoughts that I get sometimes, sitting down, smoking weed, and being like, damn, I wish I was born during the Enlightened period that hasn't happened yet, to where we can, get into a machine, or we have healers, that touch into their third eye and use that, not the rest of their active brain, and tap into that, and they can maybe heal you. Say you're depressed or you got anxiety or something like that, you just stare this mamma jamma in the eyes, and it's like, boom, you're fixed, you're better. Or like I said, you just hop into a machine, and then there's like lasers that shoot through you and like repair your blocked arteries or your broken. I'm talking like some Fifth Element shiz here. Or Guardians of the Galaxy. God damn, that would be awesome. And as a stony motherfucker, I sit down and I think about what those times would be like someday. I have a dream. That's not offensive. Kaufman said this patient we're talking about in this news story. God damn. Ridiculously retarded stoned. Oh, that's an offensive word too. God damn it, JDR. Sorry. Oh, 50 cents to the jar. Big deal. Kerfman said he couldn't find a doctor in central Illinois who would recommend marijuana, which he uses to control seizures from epilepsy. I hope the charges are dropped against my doctor. The best thing for me is for more doctors to get on board and do recommendations. Many other patients fret the state might revoke the patient's cards if Schneider is punished, or that they may need to find new doctors. Patient cards are valid for a year, Illinois Department of Public Health spokesman Melanie Arnold said. A patient whose physician loses his or her license will need to find a new physician to certify at the time of renewal. Enforcement practices vary in the 23 states that have medical cannabis. Illinois' scrutiny of doctors is among the toughest. Schneider is at least the 4th Illinois physician to face discipline over marijuana recommendations. And like I said, this is a huge case, a hugely important situation that I hope just doesn't get parlayed out. And there's not some deal reached. I hope they just drop the fucking charges and drop the accusations, I should say, against this, and let this doctor keep his license. Because as we just said, it is ridiculous to say that there has not been a patient-doctor relationship formed in this situation. It's just stupid. That's the attack that goes here in Colorado also, that the Colorado Health Department and the Health Board is constantly trying to attack, including delegating doctors, which this didn't pass, but it was in writing before a bunch of people freaked out of it, including the ladies, which, why would ladies freak out if they go to the doctor and their doctor forces them to take a pregnancy test just out of ignorance because they are trying to get a medical marijuana card? I mean, it's fine if your doctor is saying that you need to get this done and I'd like to check your overall health. I get that. But for the state to regulate that and say, look, bastards, you guys got to get this pregnancy test done, and if this person's pregnant, we don't know exactly what the rules are going to be, but if you still issue them a license, we could fark your couch. And we will fark it hard. There will be no cushions left on this couch. That's a new addition to the fark your couch. I'm going to fark the cushions off of your couch. We've kind of got into the whole fark your couch bad connotation. There's different connotations for fark your couch. The surprised and happy connotation, not used as much lately. I'm going to have to fix that. Because we can't get into the situation where everybody's just sitting here thinking, it's like F your couch, like F you. Because that's not what I mean when I say fark your couch sometimes, all right? It's a waka waka. That's not the first time Schneider has been in trouble. Former emergency room doctor, he was reprimanded in 2000 for failing to properly treat a diabetic patient. Can you believe year 2000 was 16 farking years ago? God damn. It's half my goddamn life. Florida revoked his license in 2005 for failure to report Illinois discipline and pay a fine, which prompted Virginia to suspend his license. Yeah. His attorney told the Associated Press that Schneider misunderstood how the reprimand could affect the status in other states. At this time, he was not 100% clear what the consequences of reprimand would be. I'm reading Schneider's name and I'm saying hearing. Skearing is set for February 5th. As you read more about this story, it kind of becomes evident that maybe these people that are trying to punish these doctors for issuing cannabis recommendations I should do the bong sound effect. That went down the wrong tube. Oh my God, I'm going to drown. But as this story starts to unfold and we talk about it more, it seems pretty clear that these people that are trying to get him in trouble, I forgot what the name of the damn board was, health department or whatever, revoking his license, obviously trying to cherry pick doctors that may be easier to revoke licenses from than other doctors. Since this guy's already been reprimanded before and has his license revoked in another state, one of my thoughts that they think is that, hey, this is going to be easy, and this is maybe something that we can do to try and undermine the system here. Which, like I said, here in Colorado, something that they've tried to do every single year. I mean, God, it's a constant fight here in Colorado to shove off the Department of Health and their board and their people are just asshats. Some of them not even doctors. In fact, a good part of the Board of Health, not even freaking doctors. So to make a decision based on health for your health because of fear or just how they think that you should operate violates your rights, period, end of story. It's just stupid. It's ridiculous. But it's what they're trying to do to undermine the system, to shove away cannabis, to solve this joke and run the punchline through of medical marijuana. That's what they think. It's not what I think. That's done with that story. What's the next one we got here? Any questions in the chat? Boom. Ryan Cooper, by the way, is always hanging out with us in the live chat. You can head to youtube.com/JohnDoeRadio/live. This dude is in here every day with us. Sometimes he's the only motherfucker inside this dang old chat room. So I got to figure out something to where we reward you. We put these dang old giveaways together. I'll make sure that we get you taken care of, Mr. Ryan Cooper. So like I said, if you're the one that's here every day, are you the one that's here every day before the show starts, where it's like there's one live viewer as we click the live stream? I think that is him. Either way, whoever that person is, which they're going to answer me in a second. So if you're listening to the show and you're not live, don't be freaking emailing me trying to screw the system. This system can't get screwed, man. Just ask Bike and all my friends around me. When was the last time I was screwed? I think there's a fund going around to get me a hooker for Christmas. Hopefully she's dab friendly. Ryan Cooper says that's him. You're fantastic, dude. I hugely appreciate your dedication to the show. Because just as there's a ton of people most of the people, 99.9% of the people that listen to our show, listen to us for the downloads. This Mamma Jamma is here every damn day and gives me the excitement to actually get up here and do the show every day and not worry about how many people is live in the chat room. To think about, hey, we're doing it for this dude. We're doing it for a couple other people. And then the hundreds of other people that download us on the podcast. So thanks for keeping things into perspective for me, Mr. Cooper. I also miss Bike a lot. I can't take it. I need Bike back in my life. All right, I'm better. Speaking of Bike and Massachusetts and wicked shiz, supporters of legalized recreational marijuana in Massachusetts are taking a key step towards placing the measure before voters on the 2016 state ballot. The group on Tuesday, that would be today, submitted petitions to the Secretary of State's office ahead of a Wednesday deadline. Organizers say they collected several thousand more than the 64,750 certified voter signatures needed to advance the proposed ballot question. Hopefully it's a lot more than several thousand more, because sometimes there can be several thousand names kicked off a list when you go to get a petition. See, you got like Jim Bob down the street who doesn't want to use his actual name when it comes to a marijuana petition because he doesn't understand petitions are legal documents, and what you're signing needs to be legally verified. So Jim Bob down the road with the dang old signature puts on Billy Bob on his signature. And Billy Bob ain't Jim Bob, so how the hell is the Secretary of State's office supposed to okay your signature, Mr. Billy Bob, Jim Bob, dang old weed smoker? So put your goddamn real name on there and go register to vote. That's another thing. Don't you have to be, I don't know, I think here in Colorado you have to be registered to vote to sign a petition and have it actually count. Let me check this out. Okay, Google. Do you have to be registered to vote in Colorado to sign a petition? God, I love Google. Voice is awesome. Ah, crap. Came up with a bunch of stupid, convoluted answers. Well, this one says primary designation petition. Do not sign this petition unless you are a registered elector. I think you do have to be, I've never really not been registered to vote, so I don't know this situation. And sometimes I don't read the exact fine print on some of these petitions. I don't know. Anyway. If you're where you are, you should just register to vote anyway. Because how are you going to sign a petition and then not vote? That's just stupid. All right, where was I? Boston. Where's the Boston story? 9 News. Boston. Okay, there we go. God, we may not get to a couple stories today. It'll leave some more room for Wednesday. A group on Tuesday submitted petitions to the Secretary of State's office, as we said. Over a couple of thousand over the required amount. The measure would allow adults 21 and over to possess up to 1 ounce of marijuana. It would also create a 3.75% state excise tax on retail marijuana sales. But what would the local sales be? And actually, that's not a bad number right there. That's a fucking fantastic number right there. Also Tuesday, a coalition backing a constitutional amendment to allow millionaires to be taxed at a higher rate. Other fuck that. That has nothing to do with nothing unless you're a millionaire. You're going to get farked. So congratulations to Massachusetts. Hopefully that can get on the ballot, and then hopefully you guys can do your dang old good job there and get her done in Massachusetts and have legalization. And then maybe all those damn chowderheads will quit moving here. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said chowderhead. Extremely offensive. Kind of like cheesehead. That's all right, though. They're still salty from Denver kicking the crap out of them last week. If you can call it overtime win, where we came back from 14 kicking the crap out of a team. Certainly felt like we kicked the crap out of you Patriots. As Tom Brady was rolling around on the ground crying in the snow. Why? Why? Because the New England Patriots suck. Okay, we got time for more here. We got like 10 minutes at least. A Denver area company that provides security for marijuana businesses moving around large amounts of cash said it's, growing in the city. This is not just this cannabis security company. If you're licensed to basically conceal carry and then licensed to be a security company, which I don't think takes too much licensing here in Colorado, it's probably a lot less licensing than it takes to be a cannabis business. So if, say, you're like my good friend in, where the hell is that place? Why can't I not think of, Omaha. Could not think of the damn name in Nebraska. This place I lived for multiple months earlier this year. Anyway, my good friend Justin Groff out there in Omaha, he is a veteran of the military armed forces. Fantastic dude. So if he wanted to, it probably wouldn't take too much for him to get a concealed carry permit, which maybe he has at this point in time, and form a security agency and basically just get a license and then be bonded with the state. And if you've got a good background, you've been decently successful before in your life, then that something like that should come pretty easily, and it turns into pretty damn decent money. I mean, you're literally moving weed around the state and large sums of cash. Blue Line Protection Group Incorporated said it's opening a new 12,000 square foot facility in Denver that will be able to house its armored vehicles, count companies' cash, and store cash in vaults. It's scheduled to open the first quarter of next year, the company said. Well, here's the thing with why it didn't say to store marijuana in this place, too, because you're not allowed to store marijuana on a place like that. Unless we somehow develop, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon, unless we somehow develop a license for these security companies to be able to hold cannabis inside their premises, which, like I said, I don't think that's going to happen for a long time. I can see people up in arms, legislators going crazy about that. Well, where would be a better place to keep cannabis and money other than a vault at a security company? This makes no sense. A good amount of these people don't even smoke weed either, which is great. Fantastic, not. It's really one of the only situations that I can say that, this is great that an outside group who doesn't smoke cannabis is coming in. Because at least these bastards are trying to protect us. At least they've got a gun and will shoot anybody trying to jack your stash and get into your empire. All right, where was I at this story? Right now in Colorado, the marijuana industry is basically operating as an all-cash industry. Not basically, is, because national banks don't want anything to do with pot since it's still technically illegal nationally. A Denver credit union, Fourth Corner Credit Union, tried to get legit and had filed suit to get clearance from the Federal Reserve to open, but in October, Federal Reserve said it won't issue the required master account number because marijuana is illegal activity. And we have, what's it called when you question the case? Appeal. That's what it's called. Jesus. They have appealed that decision, and within the next couple of months, they should hear a final decision on that. Basically, when they were denied the master account number, it come back and fallen down on the idea that the Obama administration had said, hey, we need to start allowing banks to work with cannabis companies to start helping this industry legitimize a little bit more, which makes perfect sense, but it's not happening. It's just exactly like we talked about before with like rogue DEA agents or these stupid police agencies that go and raid people and just willy-nilly are going to go after every single drug situation that falls in their lap. I mean, I can't see a lot of these people that run these organizations, all crimes enforcement team, asset force that came in and raided me. I can't see these people, having a low-hanging fruit, having someone sitting in front of them that they can bust and not going after them. They may not have the time at that moment to go after that person and have a bunch on their plate, but it doesn't mean they're not going to come back after you. And it surely doesn't mean that they're listening to any delegated statement made by the president or even their bosses or whoever. I mean, these statements are non-binding. Just because the president says something or a politician says something Doesn't mean it's going to happen. I think we all obviously know that. That was one of them no shit Sherlock type situations as I started to say it more. But we think that a lot of the times because it's said that it's going to happen. For example, in Canada right now, Justin Trudeau not really talking about legalization a whole lot, and it does stand. There is a possibility that Canada may not end up with legalization because of political pressure, because of Trudeau's weak knees. I don't know if he has weak knees, but if he folds and bends at the knees to the people not wanting cannabis reform in Canada, he's definitely got some weak knees. And that's probably going to seal his one-term type situation in Canada, because really I think the only reason he got elected was some of those values that include cannabis legalization. So good luck, Canada. Keep that pressure on Trudeau, because there is a very good chance that that motherfucker will stall, and it could be a situation to where he stalls the shiz out of everything until his second term, because he's thinking, hey, I got elected on this time around. Don't let a politician fark you around that way, all right? Boot his ass out if he doesn't get it done here soon. So we'll keep following that story, obviously, when it comes down to cash and banking in the industry. By far, one of the biggest issues that we have currently in Colorado. And California, by the way, god dang you, California. I love you people out there. Like I said, I've never been to California, which pisses a lot of people off when I start talking about California. Because they're like, you have no clue what the fuck you're talking about. But I can read and I can follow regulations and rules of what's going on there. Doesn't mean you have to be exactly down in the trenches to know exactly what's going on. Actually, it does kind of mean that, but either way, California, don't fark this up, all right? This one of the last things I have today for today's show is that there is a huge spotlight. I mean, we're talking like 10, 15 huge spotlights shining down around you. Each one of those spotlights is attached to a state that would like to legalize cannabis, or an idea of legalized cannabis, or medical marijuana, or pushing forward in the federal system. If you can just shine while that spotlight's on you and move forward with legitimate legalization, legitimate regulation, I should say, do something like Colorado has done and make it work like Colorado has done, that's the end of cannabis prohibition right there. I truly believe that passing regulation and legalization for recreational cannabis in California will cause such a massive domino effect that I think not only is it going to affect multiple states to be able to pass legislation and get into the game, who have been waiting for California's legislation, or waiting for a big-ass shoe to drop when it comes down to it. Colorado not being enough. They may see, a lot of people from the outside may see Colorado as the only successful place, and they're like, man, I don't know about this. Are we going to be able to make this work? Nobody else is really making this work right now. We may fark this up. Let's go ahead and wait. No, legitimately make this work, make it happen, and move forward, and we will see the dominoes start to fall. And in fact, like I said, not just a few of these states, but federally. It is the biggest tool and the biggest weapon that we have right now in fighting federal regulations and fighting federal prohibition would be the unlocking, the achievement of California. The bonuses and the weapons and the awesomeness that we would get, it'd be an incredible unlocked achievement. I'm thinking of video games here. We just be like, bling! You have unlocked California. The rest of the nation will soon follow. Really, I mean, I'm not joking here. And I'm not trying to be harsh on California at all. I'm not. I understand how hard it is to get something taken care of and something done there and have everybody agree. Such a big fucking state. I understand that. And I know that a lot of people don't want regulation. I understand you don't want to have your cannabis regulated. You don't want to be limited. That you've been held down so much for your entire life, that we've gone through 80, 90 years of cannabis prohibition and this harsh drug war. I can see how you don't want the government's hands on it, or you don't want the police to be able to get their hands on you. I understand that. But you also have to understand and meet me in the middle and meet the people like me in the middle who know how the system works and know that we can't just free willy. We can't just get willy-nilly with this and basically just completely open up the floodgates and allow cannabis to be not regulated, not licensed, not have rules and security measures in place. You have to understand how the system works, and you have to understand that people on the other side are very slow to move, even if they believe that they've been lied to for their entire life. They may still hold steadfast and anchor themselves down into the ground and say, this is not going to happen in my state. Even though it should be legalized and even though it's harming people, I don't want it around me. Colorado, that's fine. You stay in Colorado or move to Colorado if you want it, or move to Washington, wherever the hell you want it. I don't want it in my area. And some of those people would be like, okay, I don't want it in my area, but if we can have good quality regulation, I'm fine with it. This whole wild, out-of-control, willy-nilly shiz is not going to work for me. Now, I get how the ideas of regulating cannabis worse than alcohol, having rules like we have here in Colorado, not allowing people like me into the industry, I get how that's over-regulation, and we'll fix that over time. But if we ask for everything all at once, we're never going to get it. Never. Measures like CCHI, which are just a horrible pipe dream. It would be amazing if we could actually pass CCHI. If we could have hemp go through, and we could be releasing prisoners from jail and go back and wipe their records clean and have huge limits and 99 plant grows. I get it. I want all that stuff too. I want all that stuff, and it's coming. It will come. We just have to jump over the first hurdle. And then all the other hurdles, start to get knocked down for us. Moved out of the way. And it's a free sprint. Just can't tell you enough how much I hate the idea of stoners against legalization and people that smoke weed that would, even if you passed rules that were just a little bit better than what you have now, to where it took away the ability to send people to prison. I mean, it's just small little change. We got to get it. As we get closer to the 2016 election, and as we start to see which measure... God, fuck this song. Jesus, criminy. I can't take this song anymore. Oh, good, it's over. Let's just go to no seeds. As we get closer, obviously, to the 2016 legalization measures, and as we find out which measure is actually going to be the one that's put on the ballot, hopefully nothing's farked up and the ball isn't dropped and nothing gets on the ballot. That would be horrible. Perfect example of how big California is and how hard it is to get people together and make a decision would be if this didn't even make it in the ballot. That would be almost impossible. There's enough money fighting for this that you can hire enough signature drivers that they'll go out and get it done. Either way, beating a dead horse here and kind of trying to tiptoe around the details and not get into it too much, which probably makes me sound like even more of an asshat in the long run, so I apologize for that. But if you get her done, we're possibly looking at the end of Prohibition, period, end of story on a federal level. I can't see any other state holding more power and holding more weight, pushing forward and taking down the drug war than California. The positives with that also go hand in hand with the negatives, that you're so big, it's hard to make that decision, but once it's made, it could mean a lot for everybody. Then again, a lot of people all throughout the nation think that California's just crazy. You guys are nothing but a bunch of tree-hugging hippies there. Like to make all these crazy rules and do things the weird way. It's true. People think that about Californians. It's not my fault. I didn't make it up. It's the people you surround yourself with, California. You think about that next time, all right? Think about that next time before you make a decision to get that done, to pass that rule. What friends are... Anyway, I've lost it. Gone off the rails. It's time to be done. Thanks for hanging out with us. Could not do it without weedbiz.net. Our good friends over at yourgraphics.com, but you should hit them up on Facebook. Holler at Jessica Trim, URGRAFIX, URGRAFIX, and JDR News brought to you by the good people over at usacannabisconsulting.com. USA Cannabis Consulting, your one-stop shop to get into the industry. What else do I have here? And look at my notes. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting it. Freaking left foot is still super bruised and still super fucked up. From what you say, I got home alone. Speaking of Christmas time, Home Alone, fantastic Christmas movie. But I was walking outside day before yesterday to smoke a bowl out in the garage. And as I step outside in the garage, I don't know what happened. Somehow a bunch of shiz fell off the top of the freezer. And you know the front cap on a sprayer bottle, you turn the nozzle and it's like sprays a stream, or it's like all the huge mist. Anyway, that thing was laying on the ground. And I'm so excited to get out there and smoke my first bowl of the day. I go do off the stairs and right down, smack. Got Home Alone with the Legos right there. And yes, I stole Home Alone from that new movie with Seth Rogen, because that's what they call it. Basically, when you throw down a bunch of Legos and somebody's got to try and walk through it like a hot coal bed, which the Lego's probably worse than the hot coal bed. But damn, I stepped down harder than I have ever stepped down on anything in my entire life. And I thought this, whatever the hell it was, went completely through my foot. I thought I was going to have to pull out something that was sticking into my foot. And oh my God, I was going to have to go to the emergency room. That's how much this shit hurt. And I'm a baby. I will be the first to admit that. But Jesus, man. I give the challenge for the strongest, most manliest man in the world to walk across some damn Legos and not run out of there like his couch has been farked and his ass has been set on fire. His foot is still freaking sore today. No cuts, though. No bruises. Human body's an amazing thing. All right, that's going to do it. I'll quit rambling. Y'all have a fantastic evening, fantastic day, whenever it is that you're listening to us here on the JDR. We love you. Like I said, could not do it without you. Thank you for being a part of the JDR Army. Until we meet again tomorrow, happy trees, everybody. Happy trees. I'm Tim Martin. See ya.
Radio show is produced by Charlie Stash Entertainment. The John Doe Radio Show programming is not limited, but includes information, culture subjects, and is informational and entertainment purposes only. We specifically include responsible marijuana reform.
Listening to anyone but your mother is just plain stupid.
We accept no responsibility for your actions or misrepresentations, and we do not fully endorse the use of illegal drugs. You are ultimately responsible for yourself.
Live.
Waka waka.